those aid workers who have been killed in Gaza. Now, I want to begin by condemning the acts of violence by the Iranian regime. These acts are no more than a cynical attempt to exploit the suffering, the pain and the turmoil being experienced by those people in Palestine right now. And whilst we rightly condemn the violent acts of Iran, so too must we condemn the violent acts of Israel. Listening to the interviews that he's been given, the Foreign Secretary is correct in his attempt to uphold the principle of proportionality. But if 100 missiles in retaliation to an isolated attack on an embassy is correctly constitutes as disproportionate, then so too must Israel's 192 days bombardment of Gaza. Now, we know that the agenda in Tehran is to bring about as much instability as possible. We all have a responsibility to ensure that that does not happen. There is not going to be a military solution to the conflict in the Middle East. There must be a political and diplomatic solution. So what is required now is the same as what was required 6 months ago. We need de-escalating and the causes of conflict in the region to be reviewed. Now, the biggest continuing cause of conflict is the siege of Gaza, hence the need for a ceasefire. So can the Prime Minister outline what he is doing to ensure that the UN Security Council mandated ceasefire becomes a reality?
Mr. Speaker, I think first of all it's important not to try and draw any equivalence between Israel's absolute right, indeed duty, to provide security for its citizens in the face of an appalling terrorist atrocity, and indeed what happened over the weekend. These things are just not remotely the same. So we will more broadly, though, as I've said repeatedly from this dispatch box, urge Israel to abide by international humanitarian law. We've been very clear that too many civilians have been killed, and we're deeply concerned about the impact on the civilian population in Gaza, and our diplomatic efforts are geared towards alleviating that suffering, and I'll continue to raise these points with Prime Minister Netanyahu when I speak to him. But as I said, drawing equivalence between these two things is absolutely the not right thing to do.
Absolutely. The Defence Select Committee, Jeremy. Notwithstanding the